kid's got the biggest joke played, huh? Actually, they're doing it November the 6th. What time? November 16th. And welcome to another episode of City Talk Live. City Talk Live was created about 6 years ago at the old MCAM TV station. It was specifically used for debates, political events, and for issues concerning our city. So I created that 6 years ago, and I decided to bring it back. So tonight we're going to have a couple of debates and a couple of conversation with candidates as they show up. Our first debate is with the welfare commissioner. It is one of the few welfare commissioners that are still elected in New Hampshire. Am I correct, Paul?
Yeah, it's the only one.
The only one.
Yeah.
But in the olden days, they were all elected, were they not?
Yeah, I'm not aware of that.
I
don't think so. No.
So our guests today are two candidates running for welfare commissioner, Paul Montano, and I'm probably not saying it right.
No, that's fine. No.
And Gail.
No, Diane.
Diane Gimon.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
It's funny that I've been living in this city for 26 years, and people say that I still have an accent.
No.
Guess you don't lose it that fast.
No, you don't.
I don't, but that's good. Nice to hear. We're going to be debating for 45 minutes. So welcome and thank you for accepting.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. I do want to say this is being Ustreamed through manchestertv.org as well as through qcenews.com. That's our a brand new station that Queen City Examiner now owns, Radio TV. We've been on for about a week now. So watch us on qcenews.com. Now let's get down to the debate. Welfare. Has the budget gone up in the last 2-3 years, Paul?
No, it's been coming down. When I started back in 2002, the budget was $1,476,000. This year's budget is $1,028,000. So that's almost $450,000 less. So it's been coming down, every year.
And how much of that $1 million is going to the very poor?
I looked at the figures, over the 9 years, it's averaged about $461,000.
But it has come down in the last few years, has it?
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's come down. But, anybody that comes to our office that basically we go through the process, they fill it out, we interview them, we verify. If they're eligible, they get assistance. So we're not, denying someone who really needs the help.
For both of you, you want to make a comment first on that?
Yeah, I have the record here. The numbers of the $1 million, 99,000 for 2006 is correct, and the $1,028,000 is correct today. But the assistance has dropped by 42% since 2006. In 2006, $386,285 was provided, and now we're down to $226,000. So it's a drop of 42%. There is another assistance to the shelter, and that in 2006 was $180,000, and now it's down to $125,000, a drop of 31%.
Does anybody know what shelter is? That the
Manchester Emergency Housing Shelter.
Oh, that's the one on.
Well, we don't give the address
okay.
on that, but that's
okay,
a family shelter.
A family shelter.
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
All right. Is that federally funded at all?
No. It's
completely community funded.
It's funded by you're right. We don't receive any federal funds or state funds. Everything is property taxes as far as our budget is concerned.
Are you telling me then that the Manchester Welfare Department does not fund any of the Verizon?
No.
I mean the
New Horizon?
The New Horizon?
No, we used to give them assistance. There was some contract way back where they, based on a number of meals, we used to give them like $1,600. Then it went up to like $3,000 a month, to help them, because we refer all our single males and females there that are homeless. And so, but that stopped because now they get it through CIP. So it's no longer part of my budget. Yeah.
Which is federally funded. Okay. When did that stop? Do you remember?
A couple of years ago.
So if that has stopped and the poorest of the neediest get less, well, not necessarily they're getting less, but the average, it's gone down, the overall take. Where is the money going? Where has there been an increase in the budget?
No, there's been a decrease in the budget.
There's been a decrease in the budget, but let's go to salaries then and administration.
Yeah.
How much of the $1 million goes to administration?
We're running about 63%. But you know what? That's a red herring, because if you really look at it, as a city, we're providing services. You know, I looked at the budget. You know, the fire is like 92% salaries. Police 94%. Everybody else, you know, every other department basically is heavy on salaries because you're providing a service and you're hiring people and you're paying for them. So, you know, with us the same thing. I mean, we're providing a service, you know, and so you have to pay the salaries.
Any comment?
You know, I agree. The salaries are the salaries, and it is a fixed cost, and it is very difficult to you have to budget it. That's just the nature of it. The only concern I have is that it's gone up by 25%, and whereas assistance has gone down by 42%. And we mentioned the police and the fire department, and I understand that their line item is predominantly salary as well. But we can visually see the progress that they do. We can see what the police are doing because our streets are safe. We can see what Chief Mara is doing because he's opened up the satellites. We can see what Chief Burkus has done because the fires are out now. The arsons are under control, although we just had another big fire. So we're seeing progress all the time. What we don't see is in the welfare office. Nobody knows. It's a well-kept. It's not so much that it's a secret, but it's just that, as Jerome Duval quoted in the Hippo Press the other day, the Welfare Commission, nobody pays attention to it. It's a low interest function, but it is one that's very important in the city.
It sure is very important.
And I think that the general public needs to know this. If it's going down by 42%, then do we need less people? I mean, I just don't understand this. It's just something that I will need to be looking at very closely once I'm elected. It may all be fine, and if we need to still give assistance, do it just this way, then fine, so be it. But maybe we need to look at other ways.
We all know, Paul, that the city owns that building, but does the cost of the area that you're operating, does some of that cost come in to pay that bond, or is that separate?
Basically, the only thing is I pay for part of the heat, and that was budgeted this year. It's like $20,000. But you know what? If we're helping those that really need it, I'm not concerned. I've returned money, in the 9 years, $1.6 million back to the city. I'm not concerned about returning money. If I need more money to help more people, I go to the alderman and say, guess what? I need more money, and by state law, they have to give it to me. So basically, we're helping those that really need it. It's not a mystery out there. And the other thing about the salaries going up, I mean, the Yager Decker, basically the way it was set up, there's a merit system, and every year they get a 3% increase once they get a review, and then you've got the COLAs. So obviously, through the years, the 3% going up and the COLAs and so forth have increased the salaries. Plus, I've got employees that have been there 21 years, 11 years, 17 years, 9 years. So people being there for a period of time, obviously their salaries go up. If the welfare commissioner, somebody had mentioned Joe Kelly Lavassa was making $104,000. Well, if Diane wins and goes in there, she's going to start at $75,000.
That's correct.
So I've been there 10 years. So I've been getting, under Mayor Baines, I got the merit increase. Under Mayor Ginta, I got the merit increase. Under Mayor Gansas last year, I got it. So basically, I'm in the system. I'm a department head, and so I like every other department head. And as far as my salary, the last time I knew, there's 130 people that work for the city of Manchester that make more money than I do. Okay. The thing is, in our office, like I say, my concern is to help those that really need it. All right. And if we have money left over, I return it to the city where it belongs, the taxpayers' money.
Personally, I would believe that that the office should start at $50,000. To me, it's a little high. Yes, you are the administrator of that department. There's no question there. But you also have to understand that the police chief, who's a department head, the highway department, who's the department head, and the fire department, who are department heads, have much more responsibilities than the welfare commissioner. And I think you need to base the salaries on that. And Paul, am I correct that the city no longer gives merits, or are they still giving out merits?
Well, no, the Yager Decker is still in place.
Still in place.
Okay, and so
that's costing us a lot of money.
The thing is, this is if you want to set a limit on it, what you need to do is basically, you know, by charter or by ordinance, say the welfare commission is going to earn X amount of dollars, and that's it.
And that could be done because our charter now tells us
Sure.
what our mayor makes, and that's an elected official.
Sure.
So that might be a way to go through referendum and set a set salary.
Well, and the end of the Yager Decker is designed for the employees of the city. There's always been a discussion about whether elected officials should be considered under the Yager Decker study because they're not technically employees, and they are elected officials, and elected officials are not the same status. I don't know how in the charter how it works that the welfare commissioner receives the same steps as the employees do. I don't know if the mayor does. If he just gets his salary at $68,000 and he gets his benefits, but I don't know that he's entitled to the steps and everything. I don't know, but there's always been that discrepancy between an elected official and an employee, that you can't be both. You can't be wearing both hats. And that goes all the way back to the Susan LaFond days, because that's one of the issues that got her in trouble in the very end of her terms, was that, you know, one would claim she's an elected and one says she's an employee. You can't be both. You have to be one or the other. So
I do know that in the mayoral position, it is an elected official as well, but the charter specifically says it's locked at 68,000. I remember when Bain was mayor, they tried to increase that, and the voters voted it down.
yeah.
So it is specifically, I don't care if you're mayor 10 years, 68, until the people change it. That one specifically states so.
And I think this is a bit of a sleeper, and this has kind of gone through the cracks where getting to 3%. It probably should be the same thing. It should be a fixed rate, period. That's it. That's what you receive for your term. And if you're reelected, that's what you receive.
Paul, do you remember how many employees you had when you first started?
Yes,
Roughly?
yes.
How
I
many?
had 12, it was, let's see, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 11 of us. And as a matter of fact, this year I had 2 people retire. I had the business admin manager retire and the account technician retire. Now, between both of them, they were making $145,000. That's salary and benefits. I hired one person to replace both of them for $45,000. So the city's going to see a savings of $100,000 going forward from here on out. And when Diane left back in 2004, I didn't hire a deputy. I hired a regular caseworker. And the difference there in pay and salaries was like $25,000. So over the 7 years she's been gone, that's like $175,000 that the city's benefited. So I'm always looking at ways. I'm a business type person, so I'm looking at ways how we can save taxpayer dollars. And you know, I'm a taxpayer, and people that work for me are taxpayers. And you know, we're looking out for the better interests of the city.
So you started with 12 employees. What do you have now for employees?
We got well, there's 8, 9, 10, 12. I got 2 part-time. I've hired 2 part-time security guards. Okay, since it's been about 4 years now. You know.
Now, here's a question. Why are we using security guards? You have a pretty well secured building. I've been in there, and you can't get in beyond the lobby.
Oh no, you can walk right into our office. Off
you
off
can't
the
just
street.
open the door.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you
sure.
can get into the to the main
to
lobby.
the waiting area.
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
But beyond that, unless you're buzzed in, you can't
No,
get
that's
in.
right. I mean, that, you know, yeah, we have a secure door there.
So were you
But
having?
it's just an added presence. What happened is I had mostly women, except for a couple of years ago, I hired one man that were, you know, working as caseworkers, and they kind of felt uncomfortable because, you know, the clientele we see in there sometimes, you know, you got the ex-convicts, you got people that got drug addiction, and you know, various. Some have mental problems and so forth, but. They were getting leery of bringing people into their office. So
Have them hold a second.
it was just basically an added presence, so that you have someone there who can basically, if something starts escalating and so forth, he can kind of, you know, tone it down and talk to them. I've got one gentleman is a retired officer from the state prison. He was there for 20 years, and he's really good, you know. And the other person is also so.
Do you Does security guard just sit there, or do you really use them at times? Have you gotten to use them for security? If it got rough and...
Well, they're there, you know, they can go outside the building and you know, basically look around there, and they can also, you know, be in the waiting area, you know. And
I guess the question I'm asking, Paul, is that an absolutely necessity in this day and
I
age?
think where people weren't comfortable, you know, dealing with people. And, you know, Diane knows, she's seen people blow up in our office and so forth. And, you know, back then, I was the only person there. There was another gentleman, but my door was always open, and I didn't, you know, basically interject myself in the situations. But I'm not always there, and so, you know, I just felt that having a security officer, and when people are in their office, when clients come in a caseworker's office, they also walk inside to make sure, you know, that there's an added presence. I also walk around too. So.
Diane, you want to respond to that?
Well, I don't know if, I mean, I haven't been in the office in 7 years, so I don't know the population that's coming in, if they're that, there's an issue of this, because other agencies in the city are dealing with the same clientele, and they do not have security guards. However, that being said, the thing with the welfare office, I know that there is bulletproof glass. You have to be buzzed in because all the doors are locked. You cannot come into that office unless you're welcomed in. There's two interviewing offices that are secured, so you can interview people in those two rooms as well. They do not have to come in. And all of these precautions were done because of issues in the past. And all of the offices are alarmed, and they're direct to the police station. So there is an awful lot of security in place, a lot more than some of the other offices have. City clerk's office doesn't have anything, and you know, there isn't any office that's free of potential harm. We all know that for a fact. There is a great deal of level of security there. Is it needed? I don't know, but I certainly will be looking at that in January. I think that, you know, we talk about, you know, I'm not going to know what's going on in that office until I'm there on January 1st. I do have concerns. But one of the things, one more penny not maybe given out. There may not be any additional funds given out because there's none to give. However, I am concerned about some of the things that I do hear from the people on the streets about the office, about being treated poorly. And some people ask to, you know, they don't always act the best, so they get treated poorly. But I do hear some terrible stories. And the themes are always the same, and I am concerned about that part. Maybe we can say no, but maybe we can say no in a nicer way. And give people some hope. They don't have to, people have left there, from what I understand, very angry. Well, I know that happened when I was there as well. But we can leave them with hope. And if we leave them with hope or a resource or a place to go or come back, give us a call, at least they're not alone anymore. Because right now, in this economy, it's a tough time. And the people that I see that are in need are not accustomed to the system. They're not aware of the resources, which is why I would like to reinstitute the program For Your Welfare that I had on Public Access TV, which was to educate the public about what services there were and to educate the taxpayers so they understand that city welfare is not the same as state welfare. The state welfare is the food stamp program, whereas city welfare is a voucher system, and the criteria it's much
different.
Much different. The law is very strict, and the
last resort.
It's a last resort. And the caseworkers have always done a phenomenal job in making sure that the taxpayers are being taken care of, or there's a sense of respect for the taxpayers' dollars. But in my opinion, there needs to be, there's always been the sense of balance. You know, if a client needs assistance, they need assistance. Sometimes you need to use common sense in the city welfare because other offices are such stringent income based that if you're $10 over, you can't get assistance. But in city welfare, you can use a common sense. If they're $10 over, you can look at the whole picture and see what's going on in the next 2 months and say, okay, well, maybe they don't need something today, but they might need something in a week. You might want to bring them back. Have them go out, check their resources, have them come back. Give them hope. Give them a, you know, tell them what's out there. That's what people need.
Well,
Okay,
you know, Denise knows the caseworkers that are there. They're very professional. You know, they treat people, you know, with respect. You know, and what happens is the people that are going out and upset or whatnot is the one, when you say no to somebody, some of these people think that it's an entitlement. They need to come in and they should get assistance. And if they don't qualify, we have to say, unfortunately, you don't. But there isn't a day that goes by that we don't give food to people. We don't give diapers. We don't, you know, do what we have to do. And the people in our office, then, Diana's worked with them. And these are good people. They're professional people. And they're kind people, believe me. So, you know, if there's grumbling going out there, you always have the ones that, unfortunately, if they don't qualify, yeah, they're upset and they leave and whatnot. So
We weren't going to take phone calls till 7:30, but someone has called. You want to take it?
Sure.
All right. Steve, you're on the line. Hello?
Yes, hello.
You got a question for the candidates?
Yes, first of all, I'd like to say good luck to both of you, Mr. Paul Martineau and Miss Diane Guimont.
Thank you.
I think one of you would make a very good welfare commissioner. I'd just like to make a comment. This is, you know, all the money that we're right now, you know, everything is really tight right now, and people do need help. But there are also people out there that are abusing the system. One of them, I believe, is right now interviewing you, called Glenn Willett. He can run for mayor. He can have his own talk show. He can have his own newspaper. And this guy is he's not working. He claims he can't get a job and work. But he's doing all these projects, and he can't work. This is what I believe is what's happening inside Manchester in the United States, where I think there's people out there that are capable of working and contributing to society. But he's sitting back and collecting a check every month, runs for mayor, has his own newspaper, has a talk show, has a radio show, and then he comes and he has a nerve to come on these shows and say, oh, taxpayers are spending this, taxpayers are spending that. I just think it's ridiculous that he's up here interviewing you and asking you all these questions about cutting back here, cutting back there, when this guy is capable of getting a job on his own. This is what is amazing with this country. We're letting these people get away with it. But good luck to both of you. I hope one of you, make out okay, and we'll be seeing you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
thank you.
Any response? I am not getting local welfare assistance. Am I correct?
Right.
I think what the general public doesn't realize is that under the welfare reform, back in 1996 is when it started through Clinton adopted it, and what people don't realize is welfare reform has worked. It doesn't seem like it. It does feel as if the people are abusing the system, but there is a great deal of people since 1996 who are no longer on the rolls. And yes, they were abusers. Some of them were truly in need. They've been educated. They are now working. Women with children are being provided for in such a way that they're now working and productive and sustaining themselves. We have programs like Families in Transition, The Way Home, that are really supporting them and keeping them going so that they can sustain themselves on a long-term basis. So welfare, there's a lot of programs that were enacted through the welfare reform that were. You can only receive state welfare for a maximum of 5 years. I've been asked that question numerous times in my walk through the city. Is there a limit? Yes, there is a 5-year limit for a long time. So the only other office that you have is city welfare. That's the Office of Last Resource. We have fuel assistance during the winter. You have commodity foods. You have Southern New Hampshire Services that does a wealth of things. You have other programs. We have churches. But what we look at Stuff the Truck that they were doing in Dorchester. There is a definite need in this economy for people who need services. What those are, I don't know. But I know that there's a great need. Food pantries are being inundated every day for people who are in need of food. And although city welfare may not, again, do vouchers or not give an additional penny, but we can work with the private sectors or nonprofits because that's where taxpayers can receive a tax break for giving a donation to a nonprofit. Whereas with city welfare, if we provide assistance, then it affects the tax rate and it hits your property taxes in the state, and we all know about that. So we need to, the commissioner needs to just do more than just sit in the office and administrator. The staff can do that, but there's more that can be done, and it's going to take working with New Horizons and the nonprofits in the community to make sure that our people are receiving what they need and they know the resources that are out there.
Well, basically, we do refer people to nonprofit agencies, okay? We do refer people to New Horizons and so forth. And the only way you can change behavior if there's consequences. And one of the things I did is I revised the guidelines, improved on the verification process, and that's why we find where people come in and they misrepresent, okay? And unfortunately, if you misrepresent, my philosophy is you lie, you lose. And we just want a summary judgment because New Hampshire Legal Assistance sued me because they said that, you couldn't suspend somebody for 6 months. And come to find out, we, the city, lawyers basically represented me, and we, brought it before the judge and just says, hey, you're following the statute and you're doing your guidelines, so it's okay, all right? And so it's not a matter of being mean, it's a matter of saying, hey, guess what, if you need help, we're there to help you. We've got all these other agencies that we know that will help, and we're the last resource. But it's the taxpayer dollars also. So that's my concern too, okay? You want to help those that really need it, but then don't come in and try to buffalo us because it isn't going to work.
Mm-hmm. I will say in response to that, and I'll keep it short because I don't want to lose the focus on the debate here, is that I do not receive food stamps right now. I no longer have Medicaid, and as of this month, I'm going to be losing $215 out of my check. So Steve, don't think that I'm misusing the system. And if anybody out there wants to hire me and pay insurance, go right ahead. I have looked for work. When I ran for mayor 2 years ago, somebody made a similar complaint, filed it with the federal government. It cost our state and feds $5,000 to have me go back to the system to verify that I was disabled. And the same reason came out. Just because you're disabled doesn't mean you have to be mothballed in a bed and wiggle your thumb. People still have rights. I'll take this call but make it short because we want to share the wealth. Hello? Hello?
Yes.
You have a question for the candidates?
Hello, yes. I'd just like to respond to what you said.
A question to the candidates. It's not about me. It's about the candidates.
Right, and this is part of the candidate question.
I do not receive local welfare, so it can't be part of the candidate question.
Right, but it's going to be a candidate question.
Make it
What I
quick.
want to ask the question is to the candidates. Mr. Martineau, how old are you?
I'm 71.
You're 71, and Ms. Guimond, how old are you?
60.
60, and you've been working all your life.
Yes.
And you pay taxes. The
Correct.
man across from you does not pay any taxes at all. He can run for mayor and do all these things, and he can't get a job. Why can't you get a job, Mr. Willett?
You are off topic.
Yeah.
You are off topic, so I'm going to cut you out. This is really off topic. This is about the debate here of two candidates running for office and not about me. So let's go on. Paul, did you want to respond to the last thing she had questioned about the...
Well, no, I mean,
complain.
like what she was saying was that when Clinton came in, yes, they made a 5-year period where you could, get state welfare. But they can also go in and ask for an exception to that. They can file and ask for an exception and get an extension on that also. But, we're seeing like 620 people a month are coming in. We need the staff. It's a process because there's an 8-page application. They have to be interviewed. Then we start the verification process, which means they have to call, the state welfare department. They have to call, landlords. They have to call the school. They have to call employment security. And you don't always get a return call back right away. And so these things have to be verified so that we can say, is the person eligible or whatnot, And so it's a long process, and we need the number of people that we have there to process these people, because there's already now people complaining about it takes a while to when you get in there, and it does, But we try to accommodate people, clients. I know that Diane had mentioned something about we're open 30 hours a week. Well, we're open from 8:30 to 12, but We accommodate clients if they need